This is Wednesday, June 7th, 2006. It's an interview of Ovalee Glabe Helton.
Helton Glabe.
And the interview is being conducted by Debbie Skelton, her niece.
Okay, what is your earliest memory?
My earliest memories are of living in Sequatchie Valley in Bledsoe County and visiting with my grandmother, Mary Douglas Helton, and grandfather, Louis Helton, and helping her pick beans in her garden and having her churn. And also, one of my happiest memories visiting with my family at the Pine Grove Church of God, Cumberland Mountain. And let's see.
Was your daddy the preacher there?
Oh yeah, he was a preacher. And let me take this out of my mouth. And just being there with my family, and we had a dog named Taffy, but he got rabies and died. We had to fast him up in the barn. And let me see, I should write this down.
Did your great grandmother Ann Goins live with them at that time?
No, I never knew my grandmother Ann Goins. She died, I guess, before I was born. And she's buried under the sign that says "See the Lookout Mountain." And on the old highway, I think it's Alvin C. York Highway, goes up through the valley. And just doing things that kids do, just playing in the woods and being with my family, and that's the happiest memories of my life.
Okay, looking back, what childhood memory made you feel the most loved? What stands out as just making you remember feeling real loved?
Well, going to church on the mountain and riding on my dad's back. He'd carry me up the mountain on his back when I was 3 or 4 years old. And because the walking was real rough, you know, it was just almost like a trail up the mountain, and they didn't have much of a road. And he would carry me up, or carry me back, and we had 2 horses, I think it was 2. And sometimes we'd ride the horses up the mountain to church. And it was a small church, but they kept it really nice, and they polished everything, and it was just wonderful. The Christmas time, we'd go up and have Christmas plays. They would always have a large Christmas tree sitting over on the side in the church, and you could smell the pine needles. You know, the stove would be red hot almost to heat the building, heat the church, and I could smell the pine needles, and they would give us all a bag with candy nuts and an orange and an apple, a brown bag. And I always look forward to that. And
what kind of candy was in the bag?
what kind of candy? It was like Christmas candy with colored, hard, hard candy, and it was colored, colors. You've probably seen that. Anyway. There were so many things, memories I have that it take a long time to even talk about.
Well, I have another church question. When you were little, did you ever do anything in church that you knew you was going to get in trouble when you got home?
Yes,
and what was it? What'd you do?
A lot of things were not again. It was, I remember even when I was nursing, being breastfed, and I would get in church and say things that didn't sound very well. I would say, "I want my big brown jug." And a bunch of other things are not mentionable. until I got in trouble. And let's see what else.
Well, what happened when you got in trouble? Did you get a spanking or just
I
get
sure
fussed
did.
at?
My mother would take me out of the church and over up in the side of the woods, and I, you know, she'd take care of that in a hurry.
So she didn't wait till you got home?
No, she did it right then. She'd take me out of that church and my feet would only touch the ground once in a while. So, and those were happy times. I remember an Easter egg. We had an Easter egg hunt. And I took my basket. I had a little basket and I took it. I said, I'm going to find all those eggs. And I got up there and didn't find any. And I was crying all the way home. And Mama said, well, I'll boil you some eggs. I said, no, I don't want those eggs. I want to find some. And so, you know, it's just many things I remember about living there. I don't have anything.
What is your favorite memory of you with your dad?
I guess one of my favorite memories would be walking up the mountain to the church, Vine Grove. And there was a big spring between our house and the church. And we would usually stop there and get a drink of cold water from the spring. And we got there once and we didn't have anything to drink out of, no cup or anything. And he took his hat off and rinsed the brim of the hat and kind of folded it up and got water and let me drink from his hat.
Oh.
I remember that was one of the things I liked.
And what about your favorite with your mom? Favorite memory with your mom?
I can remember some memories, but they weren't very much my favorites. Let me see. Oh, going fishing. Mama loved to fish when she was a young woman in the Sequatchie River.
Let me see that thing, man.
And early in the morning, she'd get all of us up. My brother, Oscar, my sister, Cecile, and me. And she'd get us up before daylight. And we'd head out across the field and the bushes and ditches and everything else and get to the Sequatchie River. And we'd stay all day. And she would tell us all to be very quiet so we wouldn't scare the fish. And she'd usually catch 3 or 4 nice fish about that. About 6, I don't know how long they were. But we'd head home then and get back, and Papa would just be about getting home from work.
Would you eat the fish?
Oh yeah, we ate the fish.
Back then.
And back then, they were good. I don't know what kind they were, probably catfish.
Do you ever remember your whole family just sitting around the table and they start laughing about something silly or just something real funny that the whole family had as like a...
Yeah, my dad came home from church one night. We all did. We had all been to church. So we got home and he wanted to have a little snack. And we didn't have a refrigerator in those days or anything much. We just had a stove with a warming oven on the top. My throat's sore. And so he was looking around. He opened the door where you bake bread in the oven down below. And the mouse ran out and ran. He had his underwear on, long underwear. And the mouse ran up his leg and got under that underwear. And he would try to grab it, and he'd grab a place and then run somewhere else. And he was running through the house just screaming. Scared him almost to death. So that was one of the fun things that we did, or he did. I can...
When you and my granddaddy were kids, did he ever run interference for you to keep you out of trouble?
My grandfather?
No, shotgun. My grandfather.
Your brother.
Your brother.
Okay.
When y'all were little and you were mischievous from the stories you tell, did he ever run interference to keep you from getting in trouble?
Let me see, I don't think so.
Did you ever run interference to keep him out of trouble?
No. Oh, I remember one time he went to the I tried to keep him out of trouble. My cousin Scott Duncan, he would come down and visit us. They lived on top of the mountain. He was the son of Aunt Kate, married to Cager. And we would, they would come down the mountain and spend a lot of time. Scott would come down and visit my brother, and they would do things together. So one time he came down, and my dad sent them to the spring to get water. Well, they didn't come back. They stayed and stayed. Finally, he had to go looking for my brother. Found him down there, and they were playing marbles. And the water was still sitting there in the bucket. Had been for a couple hours. So he got real upset with him. And when one of us would become upset, we would all cry, all three of us, because we were afraid they'd get in trouble. And
So you wouldn't run interference, but you would share in each other's misery.
we'd share our misery.
Okay, what about your best school memory?
My best school memories, playing with May Coote. May Coote was my best friend, and she told me her mother was sisters, and which was not true. And I got head lice from her. And Mama got real mad. She said, where have you been? I said, I've been playing with my friend May Coote. And she said, and she didn't like it very much. And I said, well, why can't I play with May Coote? Her mother and you are sisters. Your mother are sisters. Her mother and my mother were sisters. And they weren't sisters. And we would,
Okay, what was your worst school memory?
Worst school memory? I could write pages on that. My worst ones was wetting my pants. And the teacher got after me and I threw up all over my desk.
But tell them what happened. Tell what happened about that. What happened about why you wet your pants?
Well, I went outside. They told me to go. I asked to be excused, you know. Then you'd hold up two fingers or something. Remember? I don't know if you did that or not. If you had to do number one, you did that. And number two, you did that. So, and then she'd say, okay, you may be excused. Well, we didn't have flushing toilets at home. And I ran in it, and they had a nice big row of toilets there, you know, modern. And I went in there, I thought, I can't do that, that looks too clean. So I ran outside and looked all over out there and couldn't find the outhouse, because they didn't have one. I was gone about half an hour, and I go back in the room, and she said, where have you been? I got in trouble for it. And, you know, it was just all that stuff.
So she wet her pants.
I wet my pants again. I did it twice.
Was that the first time you ever saw a real flush toilet?
Yeah, I never seen one before. And the teacher saw what I did, and she said, go put your coat on. I'm going to get your sister, and she can take you home. And I guess that's what happened.
Is that when you threw up?
No, I don't think that was the same time. I've been into that before. I saw other girls going in there, and I thought that's where, you know, you go, but I get in there and took one look at those white commodes, and I said,
They're not
"Can't
peeing.
see it. That doesn't look like what I used to get the bathroom." And we just had all kinds of trouble. I did. You know, because I didn't know how how to, I didn't know how to do. It was Lusk School.
Oh, okay.
And where was that at?
And it was between Pikeville and, it was College Station, so down toward Dunlap.
Okay.
It was
Sequatchie
between
Blade State.
Pikeville and Dunlap, is where it was.
Well, what kind of family outings did y'all go on?
We did a lot of those. We went fishing. My dad and mother used to climb in a tree and jump out the river.
Would you do it too?
I didn't do it. I was too afraid of water. I had a fear of water. And they used to do that. We'd just go and watch.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd wade in the river.
Did your mama jump out the tree too in the water?
No, she didn't.
Oh.
She didn't. I could see her do it. It was my
Hard to pick your
brother.
hair.
It was Oscar and my dad. And
So would y'all take a picnic and eat by the water?
we did. I remember one outing we took to Panther Springs. And we got there and we had a picnic and stayed all day waiting in the... Have you been to Panther Springs?
No, I never have.
Well, it's a big spring and it has a big flow of water out of it. It just comes down, over rocks and everything. I used to wade in there. And stay all day. And have a picnic and be together. I have pictures of that.
Okay. Did you ever have an experience where, or can you remember a time where you did something and your mom or dad made you go apologize or confess to somebody? Did you?
I had to them. But I can't remember doing it then.
They didn't ever catch you doing something to make you go fess up?
No.
Okay.
I remember that one evening somebody went up the road in a wagon and my dad came out, somebody my dad knew, and he was out talking to them. And I went out there and I wanted to say something and I didn't know what to say. And I just hollered, just screamed it out. I said, hot pepper. And my dad looked around and he said, why did you say that? And he said, got on me about it.
Why did you say?
I don't know. I just felt like it. And my dad was embarrassed to do that.
She must have been a handful.
Oh, I can tell you a lot of stuff.
I want you to describe your Christmases growing up. Who got to pick out the tree and how you decorated it? The kind of gifts you got? What you had for Christmas dinner?
When I first moved to Bobby, that was church my dad pastored for a year.
Uh-huh.
We went there and they didn't have any house available for us to live in. But there was an old deserted log cabin up in the woods. And we went to live in that. Moved in. We didn't have rainwater, we didn't have no bathroom, nothing.
Whose house was it?
I don't even know.
You just found it up there and
Just
moved
found
in?
it up
It
there.
was empty.
I guess he may have, talked to somebody about it that knew about it, made arrangements for us to move into it. And it didn't have, it just had rafters on the top. It was only 2 rooms. 2 big rooms. And it had a big fireplace. And we slept and had a living room and beds and everything in the same room. So, and that Christmas, there was a big snow on the ground, and we made Christmas decoration to put on our Christmas tree. We made everything. And we strung holly berries and popcorn and whatever else we did. Put on it. And, but we didn't have any gifts. We didn't have anything. Except that my dad cut the tree over the woods.
So he picked it out by himself?
Yeah.
And brought it in.
So it was real cold. Somebody gave me a little pup. And that's all I got for Christmas.
You remember what you named him?
His name was Spot. Every dog I had, I named it Spot.
A rover.
So That cabin was so cold, and I had 9 cats. And they would climb up in the top of that house, that log cabin. They could go up the logs, and they could find a hole up there to crawl through and come out in the top of the kitchen, up on those rafters, and drop down in the kitchen. That's the only way they could get in the house when that door closed. That's how open it was. It's just holes up there they would climb in. Well, I had that dog, and we had that big fireplace and had a big fire in it, to keep us warm. But after we got to bed, the fire would go out and it'd get real cold in there. And this pup would start whining and, hollering and everything. And as long as fire was burning, it was okay. I had it in a cardboard box. Well, then when the fire would go out and it got cold, it would start whining. And I'd get up and put it in bed with me. And Mama knew as soon as that dog stopped whining, it was in bed. I slept with my mother. And
You slept with your mother?
Uh-huh.
Where did your daddy sleep?
He slept over another bed.
They didn't sleep together?
Not then, they did.
Oh.
We were all living in that one room.
Oh.
And so she'd say, do you have that dog in bed?
And Papa Helton slept together, and the girls slept together.
We all 3 slept in one bed.
You and Mama Helton and who?
My sister, Cecil.
Oh.
And we did then because we were just making do. And there was some would have a place there we go fishing, and catch fish and eat it. And we just, because that church didn't pay much. We didn't get much money. We were just existing. And I had to walk through the woods to get to school, and it must have been a mile, and I was just a little kid. And I always wanted a lunch bucket. You know, remember those that used to have flowers on them, decorated with different designs? I wanted one of those in the worst way, because I had to wrap my lunch up in an old newspaper, or a brown bag or something. I didn't have. I never did get one. And I wanted a purse. And I wanted peanut butter and crackers for my lunch. And I didn't even get that either.
What did you get for lunch?
Fried potatoes between a biscuit. I'm telling you the truth.
But you got fed,
And
didn't you?
sometimes we'd have a piece of, like fat meat.
Fat back.
Bacon, fat
Love
Yeah.
that.
fried fat back between biscuits.
Hmm.
And
Sounds good.
Does to me.
that's true.
What kind of breakfast would you eat before you went to school?
Oats.
Oats.
We had
And then would you get a snack when you came in from school? Or would you have to wait for supper?
Sometimes I would. We had watermelon a few times.
Hmm.
They'd get a watermelon somewhere.
And then you'd wait till your daddy got home from work to have supper?
He didn't go to work.
Oh, that's right. He was the
He was
preacher.
a preacher.
Farmed and preached, huh?
He'd go and visit the sick. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Did you ever go with him?
Oh, yeah, many times. I'd go to funerals with him and everything.
Tell us the story about where you would ride with, where he would have wrecks. And you were telling a story earlier.
Okay. He ran into somebody's porch once. I wasn't in the car with him. And tore the porch things down, hold it up, the supports. And they got real mad with it. And one time we had been over to Bivey Church. He was district overseer of all those churches. And he'd visit the churches, periodically, maybe once a month or something. And the churches were Bristol, Greenville, Newport, Elizabeth, and Johnson City, and Kingsport. And he had about 9, I think, on his district. And I'd go with him quite a lot. And Because not nobody else would go with him. Because he'd have wrecks.
Why would he have wrecks?
He couldn't see very well. He had an eye
Oh.
It wasn't out, but he couldn't see it.
Was that from an accident or?
A stick of wood, he was chopping wood, and a piece of wood blew up and hit him in the eye.
Mm.
And I remember that day that happened. I was down below the house. There was a bird's nest and a cedar tree. And Cecil said she wanted to show it to me. And we were down the hill, kind of in the back, kind of sloped down a little bit. And we were about this far down there across the street. And we heard some groaning and stuff and hollering up there. And we ran up there to see what it was. And Papa was on the ground. And this stick of wood had hit him in the eye. And blinded him. He was blinded.
So you were the only one that would ride with him?
Well, sometimes others would, and sometimes my brother would drive. Actually, he'd drive most of the time. And he was only about, almost 6. He was 4 years older than me. 6 and 8. He was about 10.
Mm-hmm.
He was driving.
He was driving.
You didn't need a driver's license. And he could drive real well.
Huh.
And he'd scold and take my dad around. Sometimes my dad would drive. But one Sunday we were coming back from Ivy going to Morristown, where we were yesterday, that right there. And he was going around the curve too fast and couldn't make it, and he ran off the road and into a fence and tore all the fence down. And we had a bunch of food, a bunch of stuff back in the back that the people at the church had given us. We had eggs and butter and had cabbage and green beans and, like you have on the farm. And it didn't hurt us. I had a face cut on my toe, like a hole in it, and it was bleeding. And the farmer came out, real mad, and my dad had $8 and gave it to him to pay for the fence. That's all money he had.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 more questions, and then anybody else that wants to ask, you can.
Aren't you going to go to the,
What
get up and
is the one thing that you remember your dad teaching you that meant the most to you, that you would like to tell any of your future people that are watching this? The one thing your dad taught you that has helped you most in life, that meant the most?
I guess the most thing he taught me was to be a Christian and go to church and remember, to do the right thing and always tell the truth and not steal, the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me, he said, if ever we come to the time to take Mark of the Beast, to remember to never take it. Never take the Mark of the Beast. And that was one night when he was suffering, and we'd take turns sitting up rubbing his back because his back hurt so much.
what did he mean by don't take the mark of the beast?
It's like in the last days that if you take the Mark of the Beast, you can never be forgiven for it. You know what the Mark of the Beast is, don't you?
You don't know that?
You can't buy or
Okay.
sell or anything with a mark 666.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And he said, don't ever take it. Never take it. But he taught me, about
Tell what he told you on his deathbed about that.
That's my beast. Yeah, it was on his deathbed.
My disc is almost full, so tell us. We've almost recorded this full disc, so go ahead and tell us what he told you on his deathbed. Was that it?
He just said always, do the right thing.
Yeah.
And never do anything I would be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he tell you that you were the youngest one in the family and that you
Oh
could-
yeah, he said I was the youngest one in the family, and I may be alive when the Lord comes. And and to just be ready to go.
Wow. Sounds like he was a good daddy.
He was.
The best.
He was so good.
You-
I can hardly tell this without crying.
Yeah.
You were real close to your dad, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm sure close to it. He bought me